Hey guys, Ice Hockey Aussies here for another playoff series. This time we've got the Carolina Hurricanes versus the New York Islanders. Another, I know the Islanders only just creeped into the playoffs real late there, but got it's just got the makings of an absolute blockbuster series again. And it's another one of those series that I think it's just going to be absolutely incredible. So yeah, to get us kick started with the stats, we've got Jaden.
Alrighty, so we got a Carolina team here that's has six playoffs in a row now. I think they're one short off their old team, the Whalers record. And then you got the New York Islanders. They've been in the conference finals in 2020 and 2021. I think their first round exit was in 2015. So that bodes well for them performing this upset. So Carolina finished on the Metro, 113 points, number one position, and New York Islanders wild card one spot, 93 points. They were in the basically playing playoff hockey till the end to in the four-team race to make the playoffs. They end up making it. In regards to the heads-to-head series, they play four games. Carolina win three and lose one. No no OT game in that loss there. And then in regards to special teams, this is probably where the talking point's going to happen. It's the power play for the Islanders. It's been very lackluster all season. They need work. I know the coach has already come out and basically said we just want to get even in regards to special teams. We're not looking to beat them. If we get even on special teams, then we have a chance. That's just how poor their power play has been. They do have a good PK. So does the Carolina Hurricanes. Goals for just a little bit in the edge of Carolina, 3.2 to the Islanders 3. And goals against both team very low, 2.5 and 2.65. So very low in regards to conceding goals. Both teams play very good defensive system hockey, and it's not really relying on the goaltending. It's relying on the system that they play in front, and that's pretty much the staple of what we talked about earlier in regards to Seattle as well. So these teams aren't relying on the goaltending there. In regards to the players, their top five players, it's pretty interesting. Not many high point scoring here, and that's because these teams have basically four lines. And running through that, one thing to note is that Andrei Svechnikov in fourth place there on the Carolina team would not be playing in playoffs, so that's a huge loss in regards to Carolina. And we'll see how that plays out for them. We know that they didn't add any firepower in the trade deadline, and so now losing Svechnikov, that can play a huge role. In regards to the plus minus, which I think is always an interesting stat, it's a little bit weird that there isn't more positives in the top five for Carolina with how dominant they were through the season. Just winning games by a goal or two there. And then New York Islanders, a couple players there were negatives. They're only -3, -2. The interesting thing, I know Mark Barzell missed a few games this season, but didn't crack over 20 goals this year. Though he almost was a point per game player, but he does sometimes look to be underperforming the contract he has there. And honestly, that's pretty much most of the stats. I think Brock Nelson had a really awesome season that was not really talked about too much, just because he was probably on the Islanders in the mid table there, and other players like McDavid doing McDavid things, taking all the limelight. So yeah, I've got Hurricanes in 4-2. I think this is another series that an upset can happen with the Islanders, just because how they play that defensive game, Svechnikov being out, and maybe that hampers Carolina's ability to get some more goals on the board.
Yeah, for sure. I think Svechnikov is an absolute just it's he's a player that could potentially railroad the Hurricanes playoff series. Having him out um lowers my faith to see them even reach the Eastern Conference Finals at this point. I think he's such an important player to them. And to just have him out, not even a chance to come in the second round or anything like that. It's just, yeah, it's a massive loss for them. I still think they're strong enough and good enough to get it done. Um, it's definitely going to be a real defensive series. This I think there will be not a lot of goals scored. You're going to see a lot of 2-1, 3-2 type games. At most, I don't think you're going to see too many games where they're scoring 5 or 6 goals. Both of these teams are very defensive oriented. They've got great defensive structure, and they both probably lack on the firepower front. Um, so essentially it's going to come down to whose defensive structure can stand up better, and probably whose goaltender can can be that showstopper. Um, so yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I agree with you again. Like I said, I think in an earlier video, I think there's 3 series where there's the potential for upsets, in the sense that there's only probably 3 series where a team can win the game and it can be classified as an upset. This is definitely one of them, but I also think the Islanders could get it done as well. I think they're good enough, as you mentioned earlier. They haven't they haven't had a first round exit since like 2015, so they've been very consistent in that front. They've been a really good playoff performer. Unfortunately, they've always seemed to bottom out come the Eastern Conference Finals, but they've always been a really good performer come playoffs. So I agree with you on that. I think that bodes well for them, and that could essentially be what gets them over the line. But ultimately, I think Carolina, with their defensive structure, I think they've got that little bit more firepower than what the Islanders have. And ultimately, I think they'll be too good and too talented to get it done. But the Islanders and their ability to grind out wins and not let in a lot of goals, is going to be what keeps them in every single game. And I feel like that's what's going to help them steal a couple of games in this series, which is why I've got 4-2. I think they're just going to have those games where they put a goal in the back of the net, they get an early lead, and they might win it 1-0, 2-0, because they just don't let a goal through. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really exciting series, but I think it's going to be a defensive series. I think if you're expecting to see goals, I wouldn't watch this series. But if you're wanting to see an absolute masterclass in the defensive zone and defensive structure, this is the series for you.
Yeah, nah. Just in regards to the additions in the trade deadline, I think Pujabi for the Canes has only got like 2 assists in 17 or 11 games or something like that. And for the Islanders, or Horvat, I think he's only got like 16 points in 30 games. So a little bit underwhelming in with the additions they've added to their situation. Little unsung heroes for the Islanders. Oh my god, his name has just left my brain for a second there. Ex Devil.
Parise,
No, Ex Devil.
Parise.
No, the other one. Palmieri. Um,
Oh, Palmieri. I was like, he's next devil. What are you talking about?
there's Ex Devils everywhere in the Islanders. But in
Yep.
regards to Palmieri, he was playing really good and scoring a few goals late into the season. He was pretty much lackluster going through middle and somewhat at the start of the season, so it's good to see that he was starting to fire. And Stefan Nason for Carolina Hurricanes been absolutely amazing, unsung, always on the power play, being that net front presence. He's played an absolutely amazing season, probably the best he's ever played. Doesn't get talked about enough, but his addition to that power play and just being that net front presence has been absolutely outstanding. The other thing I did want to note was Brent Burns, the position he is on the table there at third position. It's the same for the top 3 Metro teams. New Jersey, New York Rangers, and Carolina. Their best offensive defenseman is third in the points there. So New Jersey was Hamilton, New York Rangers was Adam Fox, and then you got Brent Burns here. And I thought that was actually just quite interesting that that offensive defenseman being so high up in this in their point scoring. But other than that, I think Hurricanes 4-2. Islanders would definitely take it to them every game just because how they play their game. I don't think there'll be too many big blowouts, if any. And yeah, I can definitely see an upset coming if Hurricanes can't get their scoring going.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting series. I think it's going to be a masterclass in defensive structure. As I said, I'm extremely excited for that. It's one that I'll watch pretty much every game, even if I can't see it live. I'll probably go back and watch the replay because I'm just super interested to see how each game plays out. Honestly, I think it's going to be an exciting one. Even if, honestly, even if this ended in a sweep and Carolina won 4-0, I still think every single game would
Mm,
be just stupidly exciting. It would be stupidly intense. It would just be great games of hockey because I think if Carolina or even Islanders or whatever were to sweep the series, it would be a series that gets swept 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1.
mm.
Every game. Every game would just be so tight that it would be exciting from start to finish. Even though, they swept the series, it would still just be, yeah, an incredible series. I think that's what we've got in store for us with this game, with this series. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on.
Alrighty. Like the video, leave a comment below on what you think of the series, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more playoff content going forward. Yeah, leave a comment where you believe what's going to happen in this series, whether you agree with their opinion that Hurricanes 4-2, or you think Islanders are the one to come out on top with the upset and keep their streak going and not being eliminated in the first round. And until then, until our next video, we'll see you guys soon.
Okay, guys.